Happy Saturday, everyone. I am Dr. Malia Jensen. I'm a family practice physician in Des Moines, Iowa. Welcome to Dr. J's Prescription for Health, and I am your host. And this is Tucker. He is my co-host from heaven. Tucker passed away in February of last year, so yeah, it's been a rough one, but we're getting through, and he's here helping me. All right, you guys. As a reminder, this is not medical information. It's for information purposes only. I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So use this information and hopefully it will help you answer questions. But if you have a question today, this is your opportunity. This is a live question and answer. Looks like everybody is joining in on Instagram. Thank you. And we are live also on YouTube. Good morning, Cheesehead. All right, we will get started here. We'll just wait for everyone to get on. On Instagram, there is a live fundraiser for Rescue, Rehab, and Rehome. It's where I got Buddy and it's where I got Tallow. They mean a lot to me. And so far, they've been doing a great job and I am supporting them. Our goal each month is to raise $100, but I have high expectations of you guys. We are already over 100 and we are halfway through the month. So let's get to 200 this month. That would be awesome. Helps save dogs from death row. It's an important opportunity to save dogs, so I appreciate that. Also, if you are interested in the Dr. J placed a link directly to that. As far as YouTube, you can go into the description. You'll find the link there. All right. Okay, so today I thought we would talk about why the liver has ruling over your energy, your thyroid, and even your cholesterol. I've had a lot of questions in this on this topic, especially with the thyroid and cholesterol, but we'll get to that. So how many of you out there listening right now have been told that your liver enzymes are fine, normal, when they are at, say, 35? How many of you have been told that they are normal? Because I will tell you that an AST and an ALT that is over somewhere between 10 and 15 is not normal, not optimal. And those are clues that something else is going on, okay? Something else is definitely going on, all right? So how many of you guys been told that? ALT and AST normal levels should be between 10 and 15. In order to see the liver completely, you should also get a GGT, and that level should be less than 20. I also look at the alkaline phosphatase. It is on your complete metabolic profile, your CMP. You'll see an ALK phos, and you want it less than 100, but not less than 50. You want that sweet spot between 50 and 100. If it's over 100, that indicates to me that there's some sludge in the ducts that are draining that liver, the bile, okay? You guys on YouTube, for you listening in, could you hit the thumbs up? I would appreciate it. So if you're here and you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. But yeah, hit that thumbs up. Let's try to get to 14. Can we get to 14? We're at 2. Good morning, Lucy. Thank you for being here. Lucy is my blue shield, my blue wrencher over on YouTube. We are live on Instagram and YouTube. So what kind of questions do you guys have? Lucy, we are talking about liver disease. Good morning, Angel. We're talking about how liver affects our thyroid, our energy level, and our cholesterol. We are teaching people how to look at their ALT, their AST, their GGT, and their ALK phos, just a few of the markers that we can check for liver function. And when your doctor tells you that your ALT and AST at 35 is normal, it is not, and we should look into it further. Henry says, I hit the thumbs up like it owed me money. Thank you, Henry. I appreciate that. You're not seeing the thumbs up option. I'm seeing them because there are people hitting the thumbs up. Okay. All right. So how does the liver affect your thyroid? Well, if your thyroid is acting sluggish, clean beauty, you want to get an ALT, AST, GGT, and also look at your alkaline phosphatase. It's called ALK-Phos on your chem profile. If you guys will remember, the thyroid is affected by the liver that is not doing so well. So if you have fatty liver or congested liver or inflammation, so you're got fibrotic liver, 80% of your T4 is converted to T3 in the periphery. So if your thyroid is not working, your T4 is not converting to the active T3. Instead, it can be converting to reverse T3, and that does not help you. So when people have low thyroid, the thyroid is not functioning, the first thing that doctors will do if they're going to treat it at all is treat you with more thyroid. And usually that is Synthroid or levothyroxine. That is synthetic thyroid medication. It is synthetic T4. Now, just by increasing doses of T4 is not going to help you because you have a conversion problem of T4 to T3. So you'll get a buildup of T4 and it's not helping you. The reason you can't convert it a lot of times is because you have a liver problem. So then you look at the AST and the ALT and the GGT and the ALK-Phos. All of these things are connected. If you don't have enough T3 on board, then your energy can suffer and your brain can suffer. It needs a clean slate. Waste is building up in a sluggish liver. And again, when I say sluggish, for the most part, that is a fatty liver or a fibrotic liver. Hopefully not cirrhotic liver. Okay. Yeah, Lucy, I'm not sure. I do see the thumbs up button. I've seen people that are hitting it already. So if we can get up to 12, I would appreciate it. We had a goal of 14. Okay. Henry asks, what could a low ALK-Phos indicate? Good question. Low alkaline phosphatase, when I'm saying low, I'm saying less than 50, less than 45. Then I will look to a zinc deficiency or a magnesium deficiency or even an iron deficiency. So this would lead me to look at further markers. Get a serum zinc, get an RBC magnesium, and get an iron study, okay? Meaning a serum iron, a transferrin, a ferritin, a TIBC, and a saturation. You want the whole iron panel in order to see, hey, my ALK-Phos is pointing towards something, because most of the time doctors are looking for high levels, not low levels. If it's low, they go, oh, everything's great. It is not all great, and it just gives us clues to look into something else. Thanks for your question, Henry. That was really good. Thank you, Beauty. I appreciate that. K Beauty. Where are you guys listening from? What city, what state, what country? Because some of you I recognize and some I do not. So let me know, where are you listening from? What did Angel? Oh, double click on the screen and you'll see it's a like by double clicking on the screen. Nice. Thank you, Angel. I appreciate that. Okay, so fat cells. So when I talk about a congested liver, I'm referring mainly to the fat cells, okay? Fat cells building up. And when fat cells get big, we should probably start from the beginning. Why are fat cells even in the liver? Well, for the most part, there is peripheral resistance to the fat cells getting bigger. They've reached their limit. when they reach their limit, they can get too big. They can actually lose their blood supply and they can leak. They get so big that they start leaking because, a lot of times we give medications that make them even bigger. We try to stuff more energy into fat cells. What do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. You have diabetes and your doctor reaches for metformin. Metformin drives more energy, glucose, into cells. If you don't have any muscle, it's going to go into fat cells, subcutaneous or deep subcutaneous fat cells. All right. And once they reach their limit, we have a fat limit. Most of the time, we have our limit on the number of fat cells. And once they reach their limit as far as how big they can get, they start leaking. And they can leak cytokines and interleukins, so inflammatory markers. Now, once the peripheral fat cells, subcutaneous fat cells, are all full, we start getting ectopic placement of fat. That can be in our liver, it can be intermuscular, so inside the muscle, it can be in our tongue, which is a muscle. So the fat is now ectopic. That's fatty liver, that's fatty pancreas, that's fatty kidney, that's fatty heart, fatty organ disease. Fatty organ disease is very dangerous, much more dangerous than subcutaneous fat that you see and it jiggles, okay? That fat, in all actuality, is safer than visceral fat. Visceral fat, especially fatty liver, that's where we're talking about the master organ right now. When it gets fatty, it's getting choked on itself. When it gets choked, it tries to use as much fatty acids as possible. So it's packaging up a bunch of VLDL and sending it out into the bloodstream. And then that VLDL is dumping off triglycerides to tissues that need it, like the muscle and the other tissues. But if they're already full, okay, they will bump into and collide with LDLs and try to dump the triglycerides into an LDL. That is not a good thing. The LDLs can become oxidized. So a person who has a congested fatty liver can note a very high LDL. Also, when thyroid is low functioning, hypothyroid, LDL goes up as well, because a low functioning thyroid decreases the amount of LDL receptors on the liver. So you have less LDL receptors on the liver to take back those LDL particles so they stay in the bloodstream. Hopefully this is making sense. And we build on this on each live stream because I want you guys to understand this and you need to ask questions, okay? And I will try to explain it the best I can. Henry asked, taking the discussion to the next level, could low ferritin cause low ALK phos? I would have to look that up, Henry. I do not know. I do not know. Okay. And what is the definition, again, of low ferritin? What do you determine as low ferritin? Good question. I just don't, I don't know that answer, okay? But what I could tell you is that you need iron in order to make ALK phos, if that answers your question. You need zinc, you need magnesium. That's why a low ALK phos will indicate, hey, maybe I should check zinc level. Maybe I should check my magnesium level. Maybe I should check iron studies. If the iron studies are low, it doesn't cause low. Well, if the ferritin is low, you actually, Henry, you could have a low ferritin and still have a normal serum iron. And what that might indicate to me is that you have iron that's trapped in tissues or organs that are trapping iron. So iron could look good, but it's not bound, it's not usable, it's not healthy, okay? But most doctors, I don't want to say most, doctors might look at the ferritin and say you're iron deficient and treat you with synthetic iron, which is non-heme iron. Non-heme iron isn't really a usable type of iron. It can actually cause worsening of dysregulation of iron. It's going to increase the amount of trapped iron. So you can't use this iron. It's not really absorbable. So you keep flooding your body with basically a poison. And when you have freely unbound iron sitting in your bloodstream, it can oxidize. If you think about a piece of metal in rain, in the humidity with oxygen, it's going to rust. So you are getting rusting, oxidation in organs. Could you get oxidation in your thyroid? Yes. Your liver? Yes. All organs, even on your skin. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. 1910 says my ELK phos low too, it's 40, up from 33 in 2016. My doc didn't say anything about it. So 1910, your job is to ask for a zinc level or a magnesium level and an iron study, an iron panel. Now, hear me out. You could have low zinc, and then you got to not just take zinc. I mean, you want to find out, why is my zinc level low? Remember, if copper is high, then copper can interfere with zinc absorption. So maybe you need to get a copper level as well and make sure, okay. And that's what I usually do. I want you guys to get an RBC magnesium. I want to get a serum zinc, a serum copper, and a serum selenium for sure. Okay, because I want to know everything instead of, getting one at a time. I'm going to connect the dots all at once. Okay. Joe, I don't recommend supplements unless they are needed, and we don't know if they're needed unless we check levels. So I'm not big on those supplements. 1910 says, got it, taking notes. Thank you. You're very welcome. All right. So are we getting the connection between, you know what, Joe, I think that you need to maybe find a different live stream, okay? We appreciate you being here, but those kind of questions we're not going to do. So, all right. Lucia is helping me out there. Okay. Now, we talked about the labs when looking at the liver. We talked about how it affects, how the thyroid, a low thyroid, could affect the liver, or the liver affect your thyroid, and then how a low thyroid could actually decrease or increase LDL production. All of these dots need to be connected, you guys. Henry says, Dr. J, what is the ideal range for a GGT? We want a GGT to be less than 20. Yeah, that's fine, Lucy. I appreciate it. But once, one question, we're fine. But when it keeps going, 2 questions like that, then I know that they are just trying to interfere with today's live stream. And we got a great group of listeners right now that we want to have them be able to listen and not be distracted by frivolous things. So, okay. Henry, great question. ELK phos, we want somewhere between 50 and 100. Henry says winning GGT is 11. So if you got a GGT of 11 and your ALT is between 10 and 15, AST is between 10 and 15, then I'm going to assume that your liver is clearing away its fat. I'm guessing that your VLDL is going to be in the normal range, and we would look at that through your triglyceride level. Hi, Eldon. Thank you for being here. You guys hit the thumbs up. Let's try to get to 20. We are at 12 right now. And Instagrammers, I know you love to listen, but you don't be shy. Ask questions if you have questions on these things that I'm talking about today. Okay. VLDL of 4. Okay. So it sounds like Henry, and we get a VLDL, you guys. We get a VLDL by looking at a true VLDL number, by looking at an NMR, nuclear magnetic resonance. So it's an advanced lipid test. Your doctor could get a VLDL level, but the secret code or the secret way around that is to get a triglyceride level. If your triglycerides are over 70 and your HDL is less than 70, then metabolically we have a problem. And then I look at your ALT and AST. the ALT and AST should be almost in a 1-to-1 ratio, you guys. When they start separating, especially if ALT starts going high, when ALT starts going higher than the AST, then I'm looking at fatty liver, okay? That's what I would do. An ALT that's rising. Now, again, over time, that AST or ALT, AST can actually, turn upside down. If I see higher AST after higher ALT, when we have a flipping of the numbers, to me, that shows progression. Now, if the ALT is super low, like let's say it's less than 10, and your AST is in the normalish range, 10 to 15, or maybe even up to 20, I'm gonna look at getting a B6 level on you guys. So low ALT, say it's 4 or 5, I'm gonna look to a B6 level. It's very common to have low B6 with an ALT in the 4, 5, 6 range. I can see you guys are ravenously taking notes and writing this stuff down. Henry says triglycerides are 33. So perfect. Now, Henry, I'd still look at your NMR and make sure that your small dense particles are not building up, okay? Dr. J, what does a higher AST mean, such as an ALT of 15 and an ALT of 23? Do you mean an AST of 15? Is that what you're meaning with that? I would tend to look at medications when I have an elevated AST. I had also looked to alcohol consumption. Yes, alcohol consumption causes fatty liver, which can raise ALT. A lot of times we will see ALT and AST rising at the same time. But with an AST isolated like that, I might just think of what types of medications you're on and how hard the liver is having to work to, to filter that medication. It could be Tylenol, it could be, most every medication is going through the liver. So if you're on a lot of medications, yeah, that is a possibility. Yeah, I agree, Lucy. Everybody said, I think that's a big excuse, Lucy, is people get frustrated by me talking about all of these things to check and to, improve their markers. And I get it. Everybody says, well, I'm going to die anyway. I might as well enjoy it. And that's fine. You could have, and you're not the listener that that is on these live streams with me. They're not my followers. Well, I'm going to die anyway. I'm just going to eat whatever I want and live the way I want and smoke weed and take drugs and don't exercise and sit on the couch and play video games and watch TV and eat bonbons. That's fine. But you're not probably the listener that really wants to make a difference. Okay. So yeah, we're all going to die. And everybody listening here knows that, as Lucy has stated. But most of the listeners here want to live a very quality of life and want to be here to see their kids grow up and see their grandkids grow up and live a quality life, eating crap-ola and not exercising and sitting on the couch and being depressed and not getting outside and being under blue light and not sleeping. That's a recipe for metabolic disease. And if you want to live your life with chronic diseases, that's fine with me and fine with all the other listeners. That we're not telling you what to do, okay? Yeah, we're at 16 likes. Let's get to 20, you guys. So, that's just an excuse in my book that seems like, oh, this stuff is way too hard for you. You get overwhelmed and you don't want to learn and you don't care. So you'll give an excuse. It's really a tool of denial, okay? If you don't want to improve yourself, hey, that's up to you. Don't improve yourself. Go live your life. But the people listening here want to improve themselves. They want to live a quality life. And I agree. Henry says the goal is to live as healthily as possible, as long as possible, and then have a quick decline before we meet our Creator. Henry, that sounds like a beautiful thing. And when Jesus comes to get me, he's probably not going to ask me or tell me, well done, because you ate a carnivore diet. He's going to say, well done, good and faithful servant, for following and being obedient. And I've been commissioned to share the gospel. The gospel is that Jesus came to inform as a human to earth, to us as a human. He was crucified, so he was placed on a cross. He died, he was buried, and 3 days later he rose from the grave. He conquered death. He died for our sins. That's the gospel. We are commissioned as believers to share that gospel. So when Jesus comes to get me, I know I'm going with him. But I'm going to take care of this temple for as long as I can so I can share the gospel with you guys. That is why I am here. And he gave me talents and tools like to teach and educate, which I find great joy in. And that's why I closed my physical practice, because I could only see 10 or 15 people a day. Now I can see thousands of people a day and educate them. Is there money in that? No, but you guys have been helping support the channel, and I love that. Thank you. That's what this is about, is me helping you guys help yourself. So if you don't want to be here, just, move on. We're not trying to save you. There's only one savior. Lucy says, I'm going to die, but until then, I want to live pain-free. I want to run, laugh, love, carry heavy bags, jump, wipe my butt when I'm 90. Exactly, Lucy. And for you, because I just saw your cool video of you swimming and doing your training underwater, that was very cool. I think I watched it 5 times. That was really cool. I think that is going to be I don't know if you have a GoPro or how you did it, but that was super cool. So if you guys, Lucy, share where you're at on Instagram and YouTube. If you guys are on Instagram, follow Lucy. I'll get her handle here in a second. Let's see. Looking for questions. Henry says, John 14:15, if you love me, follow my commandments. Absolutely. I love that. Isaac, why would someone eat a carnivore diet? Well, why wouldn't they eat a carnivore diet? What is the other option? A standard American diet? Okay, it was a GoPro. Yeah, Lucy, that was really cool. I think I wrote on there that was a cool video. Lucy shows a lot of things on Instagram, how she trains, and it's amazing. Is it Kine or Keen? I'm not sure. Did you say AST and ALT should be in a 1-to-1 ratio? Yeah, they should be very close. Somewhere in that 10 to 15 range, they should be almost in a 1-to-1 ratio. Exactly. Yeah, AST and ALT should be in that 10 to 15 ratio. A GGT should be less than 20. So like Henry has an 11. So that's good. Phos, we want somewhere, alkaline phosphatase, it's on your CMP, which is the complete metabolic profile. It's a metabolic profile. If you scan down to ALKPHOS, it should be between 50 and 100, 55 and 100, somewhere in there. This is the sweet spot. Gilbert, or AMG, I'm not sure. So Gilbert says, is there a way to reduce existing minimal plaque, arterial and carotid? Is it soft plaque or hard plaque that you're wanting to reduce? I believe as we get older, yes, it is normal or common for adults to have some plaquing due to the aging of their arteries. Okay, they are aging. And we cannot live in a bubble. We are going to have some oxidation going on. And we are going to have some injury to the lining of the artery. And then a blood clot, a scab will form over that injury. And then if that clot does not resolve, does not dissolve, then it can harden, it can calcify. And this was something I talked about in previous lectures, in previous reels, in regards to, is it actually the soft plaque that is hardening, or is it something else? And there is researchers out there who are saying that it is not the actual soft plaque that is calcifying, it's actually bacterial biofilm that is calcifying. So the bacteria in our mouth from gum disease and tooth tartar has bacteria, and those bacteria can get into our bloodstream. And that bacteria, when they're in the bloodstream, can deposit or nest inside a soft plaque. Those bacteria release or secrete or build a biofilm. It is a shield. So people say, well, I'll just take some antibiotics. The biofilm is a shield against, it's resistant to antibiotics in a majority of cases. That's why that biofilm can harbor those bacteria inside the soft plaque. And because that biofilm is negatively charged, it will attract positively charged ions like calcium and phosphate, and those are the things that harden or calcify. So it's the biofilm calcifying instead of really the soft plaque. Now, to get back to your question of can you dissolve or resolve soft plaque? You can, but you have to stop the injury. You want your normal body processes, fibrinolysis. Lysis means breaking down fibrin. You need to have a active fibrinolytic process going on in your body. Normally, we can break down fibrin. That's why if we get a cut on our hand and a scab develops, the scab usually goes away and the skin heals and you never know it was there because you have a normal active fibrinolytic pathway that's perfection in your body, okay? Now, if I continued to irritate that cut and a scab builds and I peel the scab and another scab and another scab, another scab, right? That is like an injury going on in your arteries. So if you have sugar or insulin or polyunsaturated fatty acids or iron overload or heavy metals, other heavy metals or plastics going on, that or homocysteine, all of those things constantly irritate, alcohol, smoking, tobacco, weed, whatever you do, irritate the lining of the artery. And that is where seeding in that soft plaque is occurring. Our immune system is not able to break that down because the immune system is inflamed. That is the M1 immune system. M macrophage, the one macrophages, the macrophage ones. They're very inflammatory. They are those foam cells. Okay. M2 macrophages fight inflammation. They can dissolve soft plaque. But again, you're not going to have the M2 macrophages on board if you are constantly having an inflamed body from high sugar, high insulin, so prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver, fat all over your body. Fat is inflammatory. Nanoplastics, drinking out of plastics, eating plastics, okay? It's in everything. It's in the air. We're probably breathing it in right now. Again, we can't live in a bubble, but there's some small things we can do that help, okay? Hopefully I answered that question for you, Gilbert, but continue on. I mean, if you have more questions, just keep asking and I'll try to explain if I know it. Mary says, preach it, Dr. J. Amen. Amen. I agree. Okay. Kind says, thank you for clarifying the AST and LT. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Rebecca asks, and we've already answered this, but we'll answer it again because Rebecca might have just dropped in, okay? Rebecca asks, what could a low ELK phos of 41 point to? And the three things I think about is a deficiency of zinc, or a deficiency of magnesium, or a deficiency of iron. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're iron deficient. You could have iron dysregulation. You could have iron that's in the wrong place, not doing the right job. Okay? So I would have you get a serum zinc, a serum copper, a serum selenium, and an iron panel. The iron panel will include an iron level, a transferrin level, a ferritin level, a TIBC, and an iron saturation. Okay? Those are the things, Rebecca, that I would get if I had a 41 elk phos. Kind says, what is your research on LP little a? I am under cardiologist's care, but have very elevated levels of 254. Okay. Everybody, Kind, is it Keen or Kind? I apologize if I'm messing up your name. Everybody has LP little a. LP little a is a lipid particle that has an ApoB protein and an ApoA protein. And that ApoA protein makes that lipid particle very sticky. And it will go to areas where there is an injury. Just like I said, the fibrin goes to an area of injury. So your LP little a has a job to do. He's not a nasty component, he's a necessary component. But if it is elevated over 35, 45, 55, 65, somewhere in there, then we have a lot of LP little a activity that could go to all of these injuries and cause a blood clot. And if you have a lot of injuries, all of that LP little a is going to go do its job. And it's going to cause a blood clot, a scab. Now, what if I'm going to tell you, if you have that elevated LP little a, I want a clotting panel on you. I want to know, hey, does Kind have a lot of LP little a and a lot of fibrinogen, and is factor 5 positive, and maybe have factor 8 and prothrombin mutation? I'm going to say, oof, you got a lot of risk factors for blood clots, and maybe even kinds of a really angry person. And they get angry. Thank you to Gilbert for donating $10 to the fundraiser for the rescue rehab and rehome. We're up to $128, you guys. I really appreciate that. Okay. I really appreciate that. That rescue appreciates it too. When they get their monthly payment from Meta, they always send me a little text and say, hey, we got your donation this month. And that makes me happy. And hopefully it'll make you guys happy. They're great people. And they do good work, or they're trying to do good work. How about that? And they do. Okay. Okay. Where were we? So the LP little a, I would get a clotting panel. I want to know what other factors you have, but simply having LP little a is not a death sentence. Okay. It's having an injury in a lot of LP little a. It's having an injury and having factor 5. It's having an injury and having factor 8. It's having an injury and having high fibrinogen level. It's having an injury and being a really angry person. When you're an angry, irritable, frustrated person and you get stressed easy, you actually make more blood clots. You make more blood clots when you get angry. You'll dump out a whole bunch of blood clots during an anger session, during a stressed out session. And so that increases our risk, okay? So let's just say you're snow shoveling. You do it once a year, twice a year. You never do anything else. That is a stress. And that stress on your body increases production of blood clots. And that's why people can die having a heart attack while shoveling snow. They've never done it. Same goes for having sex and have never done that. And taking Cialis or Viagra. A lot of dangers in these things without looking, okay? You got to look for everything. Got to make sure you have your risks all, totaled up before you go do stuff, okay? All right. Gilbert says, that was so clear and appreciated. God bless. And God bless you as well. Thank you. Well-dressed cupcakes is listening. It only says well-dressed cup, but I know it's cupcakes. Good morning from New Jersey. Good morning, New Jersey. Lorraine asks, I'm new to this, not sure if my question is appropriate to today's session. You can ask any question, okay? I usually have a topic of choice when I start, so it kind of gets you guys warmed up, and it's a teaching session. And this morning I brought up liver health and how it can affect our energy, our thyroid, and our cholesterol, simply by looking at your liver health. And so we're moving on to a lot of question and answer. And honestly, to answer your question, Lorraine, on alpha fetoprotein of 14, I am not well versed in levels of alpha fetoprotein. But again, my thought process is to look at the liver and see, is there anything else that could be a problem? I'm going to tell you, a majority of the people that I see have seen, how about just patients in the office? I'm going to tell you that 70% of the people I saw in the office had some sort of metabolic dysfunction. And when I say metabolic dysfunction, you guys, the first thing I think about is metabolic syndrome. Metabolic syndrome is 5 things. And 80% of the people will have 1 to 2 of these things, and probably more. And the 5 things that make up metabolic syndrome is high blood pressure. Let's just say high means anything over 120 over 80, okay? High blood sugar, anything over 100. High triglycerides, anything over 70. Low HDL, anything under 70. And a large waist, anything over 35 inches. Specifically, you might want to get your height to waist ratio. What is your waist? If your waist is over half of your total height in inches, you have a problem, okay? But easily measuring your waist size is you lay on your back, you bend your knees so your feet are flat on the floor, and you're lying on a tailor's tape, a soft measuring tape, and you bring it around about where your belly button is, and you measure that level. Okay, you just pull it gently across. So you don't pull it tight. You don't want to lie to yourself. You want to gently measure at your belly button level while you're laying on your back with your feet up, knees up, feet flat on the floor. Okay. Let's see if I missed anything. Okay. Kind says, wow, I so appreciate your answer for LP. You're very welcome. And again, this is very controversial. When doctors see a high LP little a, they're going to go berserk, okay? And right now, there's medicines in the pipeline that are for LP little a, but they will tell you it's doomsday, that you're doomed to have a heart attack. Well, not necessarily, okay? Not necessarily. Your goal should be to keep your fibrin, your blood clot level, your blood clot propensity down. You want to keep that down. And a lot of times why do you think doctors give aspirin? Why do you think they give aspirin? They want to keep you from getting blood clots, but yet they won't tell you that a blood clot is actually the cause of your heart attacks, not LDL. LDL just like LP little a, it's going to the site where there's an injury. It's part of your immune system. It's helping you, okay? But small, dense LDLs do not help you. Oxidized LDLs do not help you. They're negatively, they're doing you a disservice. And we get most of our small, dense LDLs and oxidized LDLs via a crapola diet, high in sugar, processed foods, and seed oils, polyunsaturated fats. You know, our doctors, today's modern doctors, are all about putting you on a medication. And soon, they'll put you on an LP little a medication. You're probably on a statin or a PCSK9 inhibitor. They're all about putting you on a medicine. I got to lower your numbers. In the meantime, people are still having heart attacks with LDLs at 30. How can that be? And if LDLs actually caused plaque, why don't they? LDLs run through your whole system, not just your arteries and skip the veins, right? LDLs are in your bloodstream. They're in your arteries and your veins. Why are we not plaquing up in our arteries, in our veins? Why? LDLs in the veins, isn't it? I mean, I'm guessing if it flows through the whole body, it has to get back somehow. So why isn't there plaquing in our veins? Is LDL the problem? I don't know, but I'm looking into it. I think it's a combination of the lipid hypothesis and the thrombogenic hypothesis. If we have small, dense LDLs and oxidized LDLs, that's a problem. They are there for a reason. They are there because of usually 80% chance that you're eating a crapola diet. And that is my words. That's a Dr. J crapola word, okay? I made it up. Probably not in the dictionary yet. Kind says, there's so much more to my story and cardiac history and metabolic history. I've been working on it, but need lots more work. And if you want to discuss it, this is an opportunity for me to tell you what I do. I do online consultations, one-on-ones. I analyze your labs. I analyze your lifestyle, your history, your medical history, your medications. That's what I do now. So I do personal one-on-one consultations. If you would like me or would like to have a consultation, you can email me at ironladydoc@aol.com. IRON, Iron Lady, LADYDOC @aol.com. Okay? This is a lot. I understand, you guys. And a lot of it can be controversial. Cardiologists and other doctors would, if they were a mouse sitting in here or trying to listen to me right now, they would probably be giving me the finger and telling me I'm giving you misinformation. Really? Well, then, if they were actually right, and we have all of these medications, statins and PCSK9 inhibitors and CETP inhibitors, and all of these medications, why is heart disease still the #1 cause of death? Well, our population isn't increasing that much that it's not lowering that number, okay? Seriously, it can't be all LDL. I mean, just think logically. The doctors are not thinking logically. They'll just say, oh, you know what? They were just unlucky. And we didn't catch it fast enough. They must have just had plaque that just kept building up, and then it just completely just blocked the whole artery. Really? Well, check all their arteries. Is it greater than 49%? Most blood flow in your heart arteries doesn't get really blocked until it's 70% blocked. 70%. 70%. Most of you don't even get to 70% and you've had your heart attack. Why? Could it be blood clots? Could it be a soft plaque rupture? Could it have been that biofilm from your teeth? Could it have been the crapola diet feeding the bad bacteria in your mouth? Did your doctor even think about it? Dentists have been talking about cardiovascular disease and gum disease and tooth tartar for decades. How come the two docs aren't talking to each other? They aren't talking. No, nobody's talking. Kind says, yes, they have put me on all of those medicines you've mentioned. That doesn't surprise me. That does not surprise me. Isaac says the other option could be a vegan diet. A vegan diet would be perfectly fine as long as you are taking a bunch of supplements, okay? Because you're not going to have any carnitine, carnosine, creatine, B vitamins. With plants, you are high in oxalates and phytates, so I'm hoping that you will boil all of your plants before you eat them. Otherwise, the oxalates and the phytates decrease the absorption of amino acids, B vitamins, calcium, zinc, selenium, anything really with a positive charge, and your iron. Plus, with a vegan diet, hopefully you're getting some sort of heme iron. You're not, because plants are full of non-heme iron, which ends up getting, since you can't absorb it only 3%, I know you'll take vitamin C, you'll increase the absorption, but it's still not a usable. I mean, what's going to carry your hemoglobin and oxygen? That's a possibility, but I'm okay with you following a vegan diet and taking all of those supplements that are needed. That's fine. Mediterranean diet, et cetera, et cetera. What is a Medi diet? What is the actual Mediterranean diet or Medi diet? I'm guessing you meant Mediterranean. I'm not sure. Lucy says her IG account is Lucy Keel. Is it Keel or Kyle? I'm not sure. Keel, Keile. At Lucy Keel, Lucy, Lucy Keile. Guys, go check it out on Instagram, okay? And see her cool video with the GoPro underwater and doing her training with sandbags. Very cool. Isaac, I can't imagine that heme iron is associated with colorectal cancer. I'm not sure, because of lack of regulatory mechanisms to process it. Isaac, truly, if you have something that I can read, I would love to read about that. Is that the consensus? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, Henry says most foods in a vegan diet are sparse in nutrients. It is what it is. It's very difficult to eat not saying it's impossible, but you have to be really good to be on a vegan diet, because you have to know what two things like beans and rice can go to. That's a very common example. In order to make a complete protein like beans and rice, you have to know all of these things. If you're just eating plants for the sake of just eating plants, which I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. But I'm hoping that you are supplementing and watching all of the heavy metals. I mean, there is a lot of poisoning that's going on in plants. If you know about our soil, the soil is full of heavy metals and they are getting in your body, okay? The phytates and oxalates decrease the absorption of amino acids, B vitamins, selenium, calcium, magnesium, iron, all of these things. So you're not absorbing what you think you are. And, I think in time, most people who are truly eating a pure vegan diet will get sick and they will be near death and then make some changes. Isaac says, I eat 4,000 kilocalories a day. I'm not struggling for nutrients. An obese person eating 4,000 calories a day, you can be nutrient deprived no matter how many calories you're eating, Isaac. I'm sorry that you don't understand that. Henry says nutrient density and caloric intake are separate issues. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, and I would agree. You do need to consume a lot more calories to get the nutrients that you need. That is. Howard says, iron overload here. 3 years phlebotomy has changed my body, but now other damages are becoming apparent. Yeah, because, Howard, I will tell you that if you have hereditary hemochromatosis, even the struggle with all of the phlebotomies actually is putting stress on your bone marrow. When you keep dumping blood, your bone marrow is struggling to pump out a bunch of cells. And I don't know that we are taking all of that into consideration, that your bone marrow is very, very stressed when it goes through phlebotomy. And that could increase our risk of cancers as well. I'm just saying, that is a possibility. Howard says 4,400 ferritin down to 50. Is that too low, Howard? Is that ferritin level too low? Or do we have some pent up iron in other places with that ferritin of 4,400? Is it possible you were eating a very high protein, animal protein diet? And honestly, Howard, when I see a ferritin level that high, I think cancer. That's my first instinct. I think cancer. Okay. Isaac is bringing up the fact that people who eat meat only, why would anybody do that, especially given the environmental issues? I'm not sure what those are. Plus the ethical issues, I'm again not sure what those are. I'm not sure that vegans understand that they are killing the environment by monocropping. Every creature, from an ant to a worm to a snail to the deer eating the things in the wild, you are, when we monocrop, we are getting rid of all of the environmental living material and actually forcing it out. So we are killing more animals and more living creatures from monocropping that we don't even eat. We are making gasoline out of it. We aren't eating all of the crap we are making, soy and corn in the fields. Trust me, I live in Iowa, okay? These yeah, I could go on, but that's fine. Lunatic Libertarian says, I eat beef liver, beef heart, lamb, goat, raw milk. I'm hoping to get my cholesterol up to 300 to 350. You want good brain function, lunatic? Looks like we got some controversy as far as the unpasteurized milk or the raw milk. Isaac doesn't like that aspect either. All right. We will. Somebody just asked if I was a real lady. That was a great medical question, wasn't it? See, that's an argument that people will use. They use arguments like ad hominem arguments because they don't like what you say. So they will attack your looks, or they'll attack some other aspect rather than going into or discussing why, a certain topic is being discussed. So they'll attack the person giving the information rather than the information itself. And so, like, Isaac is sitting here very nicely defending why he would want to eat a vegan or a vegetarian diet. And Henry is defending why he would want to eat a keto, ketovore, carnivore diet. Now, I am not here to say one is over the other. I would say Isaac seems like he is a smart enough person that he's going to make sure that he's got a good enough B12. And he's going to make sure that he's got enough amino acids to make complete proteins. I'm sure that Isaac knows these things. But to attack me, oh, your looks, or you're this, or you're dumb, or call you names, or whatever it is, those arguments don't fly. Okay? I don't need those types of arguments. That's because you can't defend why you do something. If Isaac wants to call me names, which he hasn't, he just wants to say, Hey, why would somebody want to do a carnivore diet? Henry says, it's nutritious. It makes Henry feel great. Henry is reversing his diseases. Isaac would say, I did too. And the thing that's the common denominator, you guys, neither one of them are eating a crapola diet full of sugars, processed foods, and seed oils. Ask vegans. They're not eating boxed foods, okay? They're not eating seed oils and all of that crap. All right? The common denominator, that's why people are healthier in both aspects, even though they're in the opposite extremes. I have seen carnivore people strictly eating muscle meat get sick. And I have seen vegans strictly eating plants get sick. And I could go into why each of those, and it's very complicated, okay? That the what I'm trying to do, because most of the people who come to me are keto. They're keto, ketovore, carnivore, and they're wondering why they felt amazing and then they don't feel amazing. And I'll say, we need to check your nutrients. We need to check your minerals and your vitamins, because I'm guessing you've restricted so much, or you've done this too much to cause this. For instance, you eat a ton of muscle meat, very high in methionine. If you have very, very high methionine levels, you're gonna have very, very low glycine levels. If you're not eating any collagen or bone broth, your glycine is being depleted very rapidly. Our body only makes 3 grams. 3 grams might take care of a bit of that methionine, but what about uric acid that the kidneys need glycine for? What about your immune system that the immune system needs glycine for? You're deficient. Then you start feeling crappy. What about all that muscle meat having a ton of zinc and no copper? And then what happens with your low copper? Now you're going to get iron trapping. That low copper is also going to cause you to be freezing, lowers your body temperature, causes your hair to fall out. Oh, I thought that was my thyroid. Well, your thyroid looks pretty good, doesn't it? See, there's things that go on with each case. Now, you could go step over onto the vegan side, and you could talk about all of these phytosterols and the oxalates and the phytates and their low nutrient levels. You got to test. You have to test things. I like raw milk too. I don't drink much milk, but I do like it. Lunatic says eating beef heart, tongue, liver. Make sure you're getting kidneys in there too, okay? Remember, we don't want overdose of, when we're talking about the copper. Who sent that? Henry, thank you for Henry just sent a super chat. Thanks, Dr. J, for sharing the complete picture with us. And unlike our PCPs who only spend 7 to 15 minutes with us a year going deep on these topics, you're very welcome, Henry. And thanks for being here. And thank you for the super chat. It makes this channel to go. So I appreciate that. If you guys can match that $20, I would appreciate that. If you've learned something today from this, you've asked questions, is it worth $20 to you? Is it worth 10? Is it worth 5? How about $1? If everybody listening right now gave $1, that would help. So thank you. I appreciate it. North Dakota Carnivore says, I love raw milk and cream. I will take my chances on that over any veggie. Way more people getting sick from plants than raw dairy. And, again, whether or not I agree with that, or, with Lance or not, what Lance has said, he's good with the raw milk and cream. He's good with the saturated fat. He's good with the protein source. He's good with the nutrient density that a carnivore diet supplies. If Lance is truly eating a variety, he's going to make sure he's getting collagen from bone broth, and make sure he's getting enough glycine, and make sure he's having his blood work checked, make sure that the zinc to copper ratio is fine. There's a lot of things I'm sure Lance is well versed on. It's very important that when you start following some sort of a diet regimen or lifestyle, that you know all the nuances, okay? If Lance is coaching people and, he sees a high LDL in the 400 plus club, instead of Lance saying, yeah, you're good. Nope, Lance is going to say, oh, I think we should get an advanced lipid test. Well, why, Lance? Well, because, we need to make sure that you're not making a whole bunch of small, dense LDLs. Well, how can that be? Well, then Lance could go into it further and say, well, if our liver is, if we're eating a bunch of saturated fat tends to downregulate the LDL receptors on the liver. If the LDL receptors are downregulated, that means there's less LDL receptors on the liver to take up LDL from the bloodstream. So the LDL will hang out in the bloodstream longer. If it's hanging out longer in the bloodstream, it has a higher chance of getting oxidized. It has a higher chance of getting acted upon by VLDLs. And through the CTEP reaction, they exchange cargo, and that is not a good thing. So thank you, Estella, for donating $20 to Rescue Rehab and Rehome. I really appreciate that. So if carnivores and Lance, they're saying, I love, eating saturated fat. Well, certain people can't eat that much saturated fat. And when that happens and you downregulate the LDL receptors, there's a chance that you could have small, dense LDLs building up in your system and oxidized LDLs, despite never eating a carbohydrate. So in that case, Lance would say, hey, I noticed that you're building up a lot of small, dense LDLs. So we probably should lower your saturated fat. Why don't we cut your cream in half? Why don't we cut your milk in half? Why don't we, maybe go from ribeyes to filet or ribeyes to sirloin? Why don't we go from 70-30 ground beef or 80-20 ground beef to 97 or 93? Because we need to lower your saturated fat. If we have lower saturated fat, we still have some saturated fat. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but maybe the LDL receptors will start upregulating and get some of that LDL out. We could also increase monounsaturated fat. No, you don't necessarily have to do a plant like avocado or macadamia nuts. Lance doesn't want to eat any plants. So Lance is going to choose some lard or emu oil or duck fat, emu fat, duck fat, lard. Those are higher in monounsaturated fats. Monounsaturated fats upregulate LDL receptors to help get them out of the system. So there's nuances in every diet regimen, but yeah, Lance is under the impression that a proper human diet is eating animals, and we are not meant to eat plants. We do not break them down. We don't break them down. We do not break down plants. We do not have an enzyme to break down cellulose that's in the plants. We do not, as a human, have cellulase enzyme. We are not a cow. We do not ruminate. We have a one-chambered stomach. We do not have cellulase. It's the bacteria that's in your large bowels that ferment plants. They nibble on the plants that you are feeding your body, and they suck out the sugar, and they don't have cellulase enzyme either, by the way. And the rest goes out as waste. So plant people are just feeding bacteria, and then the rest goes out as waste. And in the meantime, you have crampy abdominal pain and bloating and constipation and all sorts of things. Because we are not plant eaters as a human. And we're growing bugs that really can't eat it either. And if they're raw or slightly cooked, the phytonutrients that you think are in there, you're not absorbing those. None of them. They're going out in the waste. So it's a very difficult job to eat a vegan diet, but if that's what you choose to do, if you choose to eat carnivore, most 99% of a carnivore diet is absorbed in the small bowel. It gives a rest to the large bowel. Bowel movements are smaller. There's not as much waste because you're absorbing all of the meat. So yeah, there's a lot of nuances, and I think that we should all be aware of these things. Ilamika says, my LP little a is 8 with a few heart symptoms, cholesterol ratio of 2.6. I don't know what what a cholesterol ratio is. Have collagenous colitis. My ferritin is 400. Is this level concerning to you? Yes. If you would like to sign up for a consultation, email me at ironladydoc@aol.com. There's a lot of other labs that I would need to look at in order to, analyze your labs and to give you good information. But just with that little bit of information, I wouldn't be able to do that. But thank you for sharing your numbers. We appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, organ meats from game meat, elk, moose, deer. Yeah, they are awesome. I happen to like, or I happen to eat organ meats from deer. I like deer. Okay. Bison rib roast. I like that too. I eat a dozen eggs a day. Okay. And sardines. Excellent. Henry says bison meat is his favorite as well. Okay. Okay, I'm trying to read through your guys' comments and find a question. If you have a question, please put a QQQ in front of it so I know that you have a question. Henry says the great thing about unpasteurized milk is actually has vitamin C, which pasteurization destroys. It tastes so much better than unpasteurized milk. Yeah. Lance adds that the human digestive tract is not compatible with eating fibrous plants. Our stomach acid is about the same level as a vulture. Human stomach acid should be between 1 and 3. And that way we are made by God to absorb all of our nutrients. If our stomach acid becomes more alkaline, so higher pH, so higher than 3, we are unable to absorb all of the nutrients like B vitamins and amino acids and calcium, magnesium, zinc, selenium, iron. When the pH goes up, that's why people who are on PPIs and are proton pump inhibitors like Nexium, Prilosec, Z-Grid, Asifex, those medications, they're called PPIs, proton pump inhibitors. They increase the pH of our stomach. When that happens, we are changing what God made for us. And when we are on those particular medications, the pH goes up above 3, like to 4, and we are unable to absorb nutrients. We are also at increased risk of cancers, gastric cancer, but maybe your doctor didn't tell you and now they sell it over the counter so you can just take it at will for years and years and years and decades, and until you find out that you're causing problems and bone loss because you have no vitamin D and you have no calcium absorption. So it's a lot of things. Yep, exogenous carbs are not needed. Yeah, our body makes enough glucose to survive. We only need 5 grams in our bloodstream at one time. Raymond says, it's scary as a parent who reads up on stuff to know more than the doctors. Yeah, that would be scary. I mean, we go to school for years, for years, but we're only taught certain things, Raymond. Or is it Raymond? I'm hoping I'm saying that right. But yeah, we're only taught just what they want us to know, just enough to be dangerous. Make a diagnosis and give you a medication. That's what we're taught. And so you reading up on things puts you head and tails above doctors' knowledge. They've only been taught certain things, and they only see patients, like 40 of them a day, every 5 minutes. It's like a you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's just in and out, in and out, in and out. Make a diagnosis, here's your script. Make a diagnosis, here's your script. There's no thinking going on. Yes, we do continuing medical education, but it's the same stuff that they want us to know, that we make a diagnosis, give a medication. They're not do you think doctors are connecting dots? Do you think that they're going to look at your ALT and your AST and your ALK phos and think about it and contemplate, then look at your CBC, your MCV to make sure that or your RDW or any of these things? Do you think that they're just going to look at the reference range? If it fits into the reference range, you're good. Well, really, you're just measuring yourself against a bunch of sick people, because that's what the reference range is. It's just an average of everybody coming into the lab. And then they call it normal. Those are not normal. Normal for a sick people, that's what sick people levels are. And ALT can go up to 45. You're sick. You have metabolic syndrome if your ALT is 45. Get an ultrasound of your liver and you'll see all the fat. Okay. Yeah, Lance mentions about the plants and the pathogens, but I would say more about the soil that the stuff is growing in, you guys. When plants are grown in the soil, our soil is contaminated. And that's what makes me nervous. At least I'm eating these plants. So if Dr. J says, I eat plants, of course I eat plants, as long as they're filtered through a cow. I want a polygastric animal to be taking and breaking down that plant, knowing I can't do it, and knowing that hopefully they're going to excrete most of that bad stuff from the soil that's growing up through that plant. I don't want those toxins in my body. Okay, so I'm going to take a chance and ask the cow to filter it first. I'm not going to eat it myself and eat all of the contamination from the soil and the plant phytosterols and mess up my hormones and all of that. I don't want to do that. So I'm counting on the cow and the deer and the bison and the buffalo and the sheep and the lamb to take care of that part for me. That's my thoughts, okay? You don't have to be like me. Isaac, Lance, okay, I'm going to kind of break you guys up. Isaac says that far more people eat plants, and you're not being very genuine, in my opinion. I'm going to agree with Isaac because that's what we've been taught. Most people who follow the standard American diet have been taught that animals are bad for you and plants are good for you. And plants and seed oils are in everything we eat. Animal is an animal. You know, if you're not eating an animal, you're eating a plant. So do far more people eat plants? Absolutely. 80% of the population eat plants. Okay? The other 20% eat a proper human diet. And if you look at the sickness in the world, 80% of the population is sick, and they're eating plants. Now, they might not be Isaac's idea of a plant where he just eats vegetables and fruit and some rice and some beans and all of that and mixes it together in such a way to get a complete protein so his amino acid profile is 100% pure. No, they're eating plants. We're going to agree, Isaac. All of these people 80% of the population are eating plants. So I think Lance probably is being genuine, but we have to decide what is your definition of people eating plants? Because my definition is, of course they are. 80% are, maybe even more. And that's why we're sick. They're eating crapola plants in everything. Yes, fasting does allow for cell rejuvenation. Yep, and they go through autophagy. That's a great point. Are organic plants better? Well, organic plants, were they grown inside under an umbrella from the rain? Were they had a bubble around them so they wouldn't get any other pesticides and fungicides and all of the herbicides blowing in the air? So would I spend my money on organic plants? Probably not. Is it organic? Probably not. You can't stop the rain from pouring on it unless you're, and what are you or in the water that you are getting? Let's say you sprinkle. Are you sprinkling city water on it? Probably. Are you using reverse osmosis water to filter out all of the chemicals? See, no, that's why I think organic is a joke. That's me. Okay. If Suzanne wants to spend her money on organic, great. But again, did we go out to that farm, make sure that it wasn't getting rained on, and check the soil levels of all the, yeah, we didn't spray anything on it, but does that make it really organic? What is the definition of organic? Okay. I would agree, lunatic. Lunatic says most of Western medicine is a joke. Okay. Dial-up says unpasteurized milk has a less than 1% chance to get you sick. Pasteurized milk has a 0.1% to get you sick. Pasteurized milk has 0.01% chance. I don't know those numbers, you guys, but thank you, Dial-up, for sharing. Heirloom seeds. So you trust the heirloom seeds, but what is the controlled environment that they're grown in? Not allowed to be contaminated by the outside world. So again, they're growing in a bubble. Is that what you're saying, lunatic? I'm interested. And how are these people supposed to find this controlled environment that's not contaminated by heirloom and use of heirloom seeds? Suzanne says, are you saying alkaline pH for the body is bad? No. I said an alkaline pH in your stomach is bad. Alkaline. Our stomach is a pH between 1 and 3. Check what the normal pH of your blood is. The body pH and your stomach pH are different. pHs in different areas of our body are also different. Check out the vaginal pH. Lance says, I was one of them until 2 years ago, sick all the time. Disingenuous information being given about plants being healthy. 6 weeks, I came off, 5 blood pressure medicines, 2 years down, 142 pounds. Wow, Lance, thanks for sharing. Who doesn't want to lose an extra 142 pounds that they've been holding on their body? Yeah, Dawn, I agree. You know, somebody asked me a question about the caduceus, the snake wrapped around the, why don't I support that sign? And I think most people will know, if from a biblical standpoint, that is some sort of satanic. Let's see. Go. Yeah. Well, not all foods are killing us, right, Dawn? Just the stuff that's man-made. I would agree. How do you check all? How do you check all what? Sorry, Dawn or Suzanne. I don't know what you're. Oh, the different pHs in your body? Well, you could do pH monitoring of your You can do a pH monitor. So you stick a tube down your nose and into your stomach. That'll check pH. If you want to check the pH of your vaginal mucosa, you have the doctor do a pelvic exam on you and stick a strip in there for a pH on the secretions. That'll give a fairly accurate pH of your vaginal mucosa. If you want your blood checked, you'll do blood gases. I don't think that you really want to check your blood gases. I remember checking because that's arterial, and you guys are used to having your blood checked from your vein. If you take blood from the arterial, like on your radial pulse, oh my gosh, does it hurt. I hated drawing people's blood gases because I hurt them. So I asked somebody else to do it because I didn't like to do that. So yeah, I don't think it's necessary to check all those gases. Estella says satanic symbol indeed. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Lance says, I'm healthy now, 59 years old, 0 medications, 5 pounds from normal weight. I don't know what normal means. Probably your optimal weight. It's getting healthier every day. Congratulations, Lance. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, Lunatic makes his own cheese. I actually don't eat cheese. I do eat cottage cheese. It's basically just cheese, salt, and I think it's water. There was only 2 ingredients. So, Dial-Up says, we have a food system that ignores health and a health system that ignores food. Agree. I think everybody listening would agree. Oh, good. Isaac says, I do take those supplements to be fair, and I do boil my plants. So, awesome. Okay, I'm trying to look for questions here. Dawn Loves Jesus says, I was put on medications that the side effects were worse than my original problem. That would suck. Okay. You guys are quiet over on Instagram. We're live on Instagram and YouTube. And as a reminder, this is for educational purposes only. This is not medical advice. You should contact your doctor for any medical advice. I'm not your doctor. I am a doctor, but I'm not your doctor. So it's for information purposes only. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate that. Dial-Up, I think it's more than just margarine that is causing colon cancer and making millennials sick. More than just that. I mean, I'm not going to disagree, but there's more than just what you suggested. Allison says, are taking organ supplements beneficial? Wait. I'm not good at cooking organ meats. Allison, if you are not going to eat organ meats and you're on a carnivore diet, yes, taking organ supplements are acceptable. I would make sure I get a quality kind that's been certified. They're going to be more expensive, but I would definitely get a certified version of that, okay? That third-party testing is taking place, okay, to make sure you're getting good organs. I would also make sure that you're checking your zinc, copper, selenium, and your B12, because there's a lot of B12 and heme iron, and I would get iron panel. That just reminded me, but there's a lot. You might not need the dosing that they tell you to dose, like 6 caps a day. Maybe you only need 2 or 3, and you're getting enough of the nutrients. There are a lot of people who simply eat hearts, like chicken heart or beef heart, and they're getting a lot more zinc than they are of copper, and then that can throw us off. So we want to eat kidney. So yeah, getting a full blend of organs would be better than simply even eating just liver. I mean, liver, you could get high amounts of zinc and high amounts of vitamin A. So eating a variety of organs. Lucy says there's lots of comments back and forth between Isaac. Okay. but there is one question by your root. I did not see it. You are root. Where is it? Did I miss it? Can you are root resend their question, because I did not see it. Yeah, lunatic. Margarine is a seed oil made from seed oils, and it was a lubricant for ships. You're right. I do not know the role of liposomal NMN. I don't know what that is. The original K. Much love, Dr. J. Have a great weekend. Thank you. You as well. I appreciate it. They just sent a super chat with $10, so I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Do you guys think this is awesome enough to give $10, $5, $1? We are apex predators, and apex predators have to live. And we live quality of life. An apex predator, it goes on all the time. Apex predators, we are at the top of the food chain, and we eat everything else, and that includes animals. Yep, they do, Isaac. Livestock animals do eat grain and soy. What is there a question behind that? They also have a 4-chambered stomach, so they're taking care of all of that grain and soy. Is it really that low? Lunatic Libertarian says only 8% of farmland is used for human consumption. That's Iowa. That's where I live. Monocropping is horrible. Yeah, that's Iowa. Habanero, please, 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 please be nice, okay? Estella says, I'm enjoying all the information. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Go buy some apparel, could you? Buy some Dr. J apparel and or give a live fundraiser to Rescue Rehab Rehome. That tells me that you appreciate the information that I'm giving. See, it's not even going to me. It's going to a rehab. Allison says, thanks for sharing the thoughts on vegetables as well. Any thoughts on SIBO? What is your question on SIBO? Go to the bottom. Okay. If I go to the bottom, Lucy, I'm going to miss everything else, but I can do that. So anybody who's had a question, let's see. UR Roots says, is blood work most important when science just proved the brain drains into the lymphatic system and not the bloodstream? I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think that you're asking about the glymphatic system. Our brain or our body has a lymphatic system, and we need an active lymphatic system in order to filter waste. We also have a glymphatic system. That's where what our brain uses, okay? And that works only when we are in deep sleep. If you are not sleeping well, your glymphatic system is not working, and you're building up, bad toxins, okay? Is blood work most important when science just proved? I don't know exactly what your question is, but why wouldn't blood work be important? I'm not sure what your actual question is. But thanks, Lucy, for being over there on both sides. Yeah, Stella, I saw it. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. I did see it, and thank you. How to heal from SIBO? Change your diet. You have to change your diet. You have to get rid of the plants. You have to go on an elimination diet. I've seen people heal their bowels from leaky gut and endotoxins and high LDLs and all of those things by doing an elimination diet. 30 days of Meat, salt, and water. Ruminant, meat, salt, and water. Make sure you follow up with your doctor and get labs. Don't do anything unsupervised. Okay. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Do you guys have any other questions? I'd be happy to answer them. Isaac and Henry, you know, you can go back and forth all day. I understand everybody, you know, their particular diet they're passionate about. And I think that's fine. I really do. Okay. As long as we're educated on both sides, because like I said, a restricted diet on both sides could be a problem. Now, we gave an example with Henry and Lance on the carnivore side, and we gave an example of Isaac on the vegan side. So we need to just be educated and make sure that we are not restricting ourselves too much, that we end up with nutrient deficiencies, okay? Lisa, thank you. Lisa says, I enjoy your lives, learn something every time. I am live every Saturday at 9 a.m. Central and every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. I do reels during the week on subject matter. Sometimes those subjects are sent to me because people are interested. So if you guys are interested in a specific topic, we can discuss it. I can discuss it on a reel. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about muscle, the types of muscle, and our metabolic health with that muscle. Lucy says, yep, I already answered her question. Okay. Hiking with Judy says, what does low blood pressure mean? Do you consider low blood pressure? I think if you are asymptomatic with your low blood pressure, meaning you're not dizzy when you get up and you're not getting syncope, passing out, then I don't know if your blood pressure is too low or not too low. Okay, so Judy, what is your blood pressure that you say is low, and are you having symptoms? (90/60). Again, are you having symptoms at 90/60? Are you dizzy and passing out? What is your heart rate? Lucy, I answered her question, so hopefully she got it. But I can't. I talked about the lymphatic system. I talked about the glymphatic system. I still think that we need to do blood work, getting labs. I don't know what science that your roots is referring to, but if you want to, ask a different question, that would be helpful. Okay. Judy says, I'm not passing out. Then 90/60 is not too low, I guess, for you. But I would just make sure that you're hydrating well, you're getting enough salt. Salt, mineral salts, real salt is very important, not processed salt. Most people try to limit salt because they've been told to limit salt. And that is, yeah, I would limit processed salt, but that's in all of the processed food. White bleach salt is not real salt, okay? Yeah, Isaac, we would enjoy that if you come back. But yeah, we are live every Sunday at 10 a.m. Central, Saturday at 9 a.m. Central, Sunday at 10 a.m. Central. So bring your questions. Let's see. Nancy says, I can't join tomorrow. I am a 70-year-old with weakness in muscles. I do exercises, but getting out of a chair or walking is an issue. Any suggestions? Nancy, that's kind of a deep question. I don't know, if you have weakness in your muscles, is there a lab value that we need to be checking? Are you, exercising? I don't know what exercises you are doing. When you have trouble getting out of a chair, those are the external rotators. So your posterior chain, which is your, your glutes, hams, and calves, it's everything that's on the posterior chain is weak if you can't get out of a chair. Or if you're using armrests, your triceps are weak to be able to push you out of the chair. Okay? So there's a lot to go into that question. I don't know how to answer it. When you say I do exercise, but getting out of a chair and walking is an issue, then I would focus on maybe joining or asking your doctor to refer you to physical therapy, and they can work on your external rotators or your posterior chain. Henry says, I like Himalayan salt. I would probably start choosing something else. I think that Himalayan salt is contaminated at this point with heavy metals. And yeah, maybe make a better choice. There is a website that you can check the quality of the salts. I believe the top five are Baja Gold, Meldon, Jacobson. I think Diamond is in the top 5. So look into the salt that you're consuming. I would avoid Himalayan salt. That's just me. Isaac says, anyone here take glycine for sleep benefits? I think that's a great opportunity to take glycine at bedtime, 3 to 5 grams of glycine at bedtime. But again, Isaac, just like a strict muscle meat eating carnivore that needs glycine, a vegan needs a ton of glycine as well. Isaac, I would make sure that you're getting 12 to 15 grams a day of glycine, not all at once. Your body makes 3 of those, so now you're down to between 9 and 12 grams of glycine that you need. Penny says, thank you, Dr. J and Lucy, great team. Thank you, Penny. We are a great team. We appreciate Lucy joining. She doesn't get paid to do any of this. She likes to help out, help moderate, and to take care of the riffraff, right, Penny? So Lucy does a good job at her job. Let's see. It's in, well, Isaac, I know you would think about supplemental. There's no glycine in plants. That's why you need to all take it in supplemental form, whereas people who are eating meat, collagen, bone broth are getting glycine in their diet. And not, honestly, you would need to supplement. There's no other way, Isaac. Taking in just 3 grams when your body makes 3, your body is very depleted in glycine. It's taking care of all the uric acid. Have you gotten a uric acid level, Isaac? What is your insulin level? I get for everybody should be checking these levels. And if you want a list of labs that I like to have done, just email me at ironladydoc@aol.com. ironladydoc@aol.com. Lucy says, I take glycine on days I eat a lot of muscle meat. Glycine before bed gives me crazy dreams. I usually front load every other day. You're going into deep sleep. Carl says taking magnesium glycinate. Yep, that magnesium glycinate, although there's not a lot of glycine in magnesium glycinate, most people will dose the magnesium up to 400, but maybe not, they won't be getting, 3 grams, 3 to 5 grams. It's just not enough in there. Some people take magnesium glycinate and they'll take pure glycine powder. So Isaac is taking 3 to 5 grams, I'm guessing, of pure powder before bedtime. That's appropriate. Henry says he takes 9 grams. Good. No, glycine does not. Glycine is an amino acid. It does not have oxalates. Plants have oxalates. Glycine is an amino acid. Okay, Isaac takes both magnesium glycinate and glycine, 3 to 5 grams. So you're probably getting, if you're at the 5 level, you're probably, or let's just say that you're at the 4, you could be at the 6 level now by taking the combination. Right, Lucy. Henry needs to make sure that that's covering uric acid, ferritin, insulin. I would say that most people need to order those separately, right, Lucy? Henry also takes separately magnesium glycinate and pure glycine. I think that's appropriate. I think as a population, we're very low on glycine due to our diet and all of the stress. Glycine's needed for our immune system and taking care of stress. It's just so important. Henry, I'm not sure. I've seen a lot of function health testing labs, and they're still deficient. I'm still having my patients or clients adding more labs because function health does not perform all of them. And again, that is up to you, but function health is missing a lot of labs that I ask the person to get. Sometimes they can order them on function health, but other times they can't. Okay. Okay. So Lucy, if you're going to use function health, just make sure that you add in separately the extras. And again, Lucy, I think you have my list, but I can send it again to you if you email me. But yeah, function health, the traditional labs that they are using, and I've seen a lot of them. You guys are all using function labs, which is fine. But I'm getting extra labs on you guys because I need to know more information. Okay. For instance, a copper level or a zinc level, a ceruloplasmin level, a selenium level, those sort of things are not on it. I'm not sure that uric acid level is on it. I'm not sure. I don't think there's an omega-3. I don't think there's an omega-3 index, an RBC omega-3 index, and so that needs to be added. Function health is missing LP plaque, so LPPLA2 and MPO. So those are inflammatory markers for the arteries. MPO more so than the L plaque. I mean, L plaque can actually go up in a person who's got high LDL. So it's it could be falsely elevating that LPPLA2 if all of the LDLs are large, fluffy, buoyant ones. It's going to falsely elevate the LPPLA2, but I still like to get it. When I use the LPPLA2 in conjunction with the LDL level, I can get a good idea. But the MPO, I think, is straight up a good test. Reverse T3 is not available on the function health, and a few other iron studies you have mentioned. Yeah, I agree, Henry, it's deficient in some of the things, yet they are claiming that it's a full panel of 160 or 260 or whatever it is, yet I'm still asking my clients to get some extra labs. That would help. I'll go with what you get, of course, but I might say, hey, to make a really good, analyze your labs, I would get some extras. Most people say, yeah, whatever you need, Dr. Jensen, whatever can help you, help me. And that's great. Okay. And yeah, I don't know what the cost of the extras are, Lucy, by adding them on. I don't know much about function health except for I look at the lab panels on a fairly regular basis, almost daily. As you said, it does not include RBC omega-3 index. Yep, so that's another one that would give me some information on how inflammatory your body is. Also on what you're eating. If you're eating too much omega-6, that ratio is going to be very low. An RBC omega-3 index less than 4 is very dangerous. In fact, less than 8, I like that number above 8, the RBC omega-3 index. Lucy used Merrick last time, and her labs were $800. That's a lot. I mean, I've seen labs that I order for people upwards to maybe 450 at the most. So I've never gone over. There was one gentleman, he ordered, he wanted everything, including his hormones, and he went extensive, and I believe his were 800. And he got a lot of labs. I mean, there was a lot of labs that I had to look at. MPO deficient. MPO is an inflammatory marker. When it's high, it is an indication that there is injury to the lining of the arteries. I'm not sure what a deficient MPO is. Help me out. Henry says Omega Quant, which is a very good one, does an RBC omega-3 index for approximately $50. So that's, I mean, if that's what you want, for if you have $50 to spare and want an omega-3 RBC omega-3 index, get Omega Quant. I believe they send it to you in the mail. Isaac says, is there any supplements you think I should take besides the obvious metals? Omega-3s, B12, and beta-alanine. I again, I think that you should check your levels first, but creatine, carnitine, carnosine, I don't know if you're taking those. I would I would not personally take those in plant form. We don't absorb them. Also, most people think that they are getting enough vitamin A by eating beta carotene, but it's very poorly converted, okay? It's very poorly converted into vitamin A. Also, the ALA in plants is very, very, very low conversion to EPA and DHA. So you mentioning omega-3s, are you getting those omega-3s in something like algae oil or something that's non-animal based? I believe most of them are packed full of B12. But again, I would work on those C's, the carnitine, carnosine, creatine, because you're probably not getting any, I'm guessing. And so that would be a deficiency. Lisa asks, would creatine impact my GFR? No, something else is impacting your GFR. Make sure you get a cystatin C to get a true GFR. A cystatin C, cystatin, cystatin C, for a true GFR. Everybody should be doing that. Okay, good, Isaac. So it sounds like you're getting the algae supplements, get your omega-3s. Be very careful on overdosing with, algae and kelp. Kelp is very high. Yeah, see, that I would have to look these things up. Be very careful with the kelp. I think it's getting an overdose of vitamin A, but I can't be positive, okay? Just got to be careful. I would get that level too, get a vitamin A level, and I forgot to mention that. And you take creatine, good. 5 to 10 grams a day, excellent. Yeah, maybe you take 5 milligrams before your workout and maybe 5 milligrams before you go to bed. Henry says, Isaac, I would make sure that you're getting all of your amino acids you need, as it's impossible to get complete set as in eggs on a vegan diet. Also, this is a key point that Henry, this led me into this, is the protein powders or proteins that, let's just say across the board, protein powders are all denatured amino acids. You cannot pretend to... Got a frog in my throat, you guys. We can't pretend that we can take denatured amino acids and string them together in our body. They're denatured, and as a vegan, as an aside, when a vegan takes amino acid like protein powders, usually it's in the form of a soy or a pea, very, very high in heavy metals, and for men, it's estrogenic. So we need to take that into consideration as well. Whereas animal foods are complete. Eggs are 100% bioavailable. The yolks have every nutrient. That's how a chickie can live and not need anything else from the mother. It actually lives inside of a shell that the mom sits at, keeps warm, and it eats on the yolk. So the yolks are the most important thing of an egg. They are complete. When we consume denatured protein powders, even if it's pea, soy, whey, casein, those are denatured, and they can spike our blood sugars. So those of you who are, I need to get some more protein powder, and you're doing whey and casein, concentrates and isolates and all of this, and you can't understand why you're getting fat and why your blood sugar is so high, they're denatured. Denatured amino acids will spike glucose, or spike blood sugars as fast as eating glucose alone. They are almost exactly the same. Oh, that's it, Estella. Thank you. Thank you. I knew it was something. Kelp is very high in iodine. You have too much iodine, not enough selenium, and now we got a problem. Thank you, Estella. See how you guys, you're thinking, this is helping me, it's helping you. We're all on this journey together. I don't know it all. I can't remember it all, but like Estella, thank you. Okay, that helps. So yeah, iodine. People who take iodine, make sure that you're checking a selenium level. Okay, you're messing with your thyroid if you're taking just iodine and not checking your selenium. All right. Lisa says, will high fiber diet help to reduce ApoB? Why is your ApoB high? ApoB is on every LDL, every VLDL, every IDL, every LP little a. Which one of those is high, Lisa? Do you take a plant to bind up cholesterol? So you're binding up not only cholesterol, you're binding up nutrients. When you take fiber, do you think that you're getting your B12 and your iron and your calcium and magnesium and all of those things? No. You're decreasing absorption. Fiber is a plant. Lisa, you might not have been here. I'm not trying to be, but plants decrease absorption of amino acids, decrease absorption of B vitamins, decrease the absorption of all these things. So if you're taking fiber to lower an ApoB and your ApoB is a bunch of VLDLs, your best bet would stop the fiber and get rid of the carbs. The only reason people need fiber is to increase their waste, to get the crapola out of their bowels. Okay, but find out what is raising your ApoB. Which one of your particles is high in your ApoB? And don't just tell me LDL, because I want to know your IDL, intermediate density lipoprotein. I want to know your VLDL, very low density lipoprotein. I want to know your LP little a. All of those have ApoB. But if you want to take fiber to lower your ApoB, great. All plants will lower LDL if that's what you want to do. Countess says, can I get enough glycine by buying gelatin and making Jello? It's possible. I don't know. A lot of times there is, I can't remember what product it is, but they do sell gelatin, and small amounts of powder will increase our glycine levels. So maybe if you're getting a little bit from gelatin and you're getting a little bit from bone broth, that's a great way to go. Or taking pure glycine powder. Yes, Lucy, great point. Make sure it's unflavored. Right on. I don't think it's 12 grams is better than nothing. I agree. Better than nothing. We need it. Isaac says, darn, I'm pretty jacked, but if it's estrogenic, I'll look into it. As far as I know, phytoestrogens weren't considered estrogenic. Eesh. Well, that's what we put in for HRT. Those are phytoestrogens. So when we give women hormone replacement or even give men hormone replacement, there are phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens is what women are taking to increase their estrogen level. Although phytoestrogens and our estrogen is not the same. You're trying to give a plant estrogen to an animal. It does not work. Animals have cholesterol. We do not have phytosterols in our body, yet we will put them in our body and make it seem like they act like human estrogen. It does not. Isaac said, I've been taking lysine as it's a precursor for carnitine and beta-alanine for my carnosine. Yeah, Isaac, I don't know if your conversion from those things into, the precursors into the real thing, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. But our body does make a little bit of, I think it's carnitine or carnosine, I can't remember which, but not nearly enough. In fact, there are a certain population of people who don't make it. And then if they're on plant-based diet, it's even worse. I think it's carnosine. And you guys like Estella can correct me on that one too. It's carnosine or carnitine, I cannot remember. Person all says, how often would I have to get a blood test if going vegan? I think just like anybody else, I would say maybe every 4 months. So maybe 3 times a year, for sure twice a year. How about that? But if you start feeling bad, or whatever diet you're on, if you start feeling bad, then you need labs more often. Especially if you get personal, if you get the personal or personnel, once you get the first labs, then and you have somebody analyze it. I'm not saying you have to trust me or hire me, but I could do that. If there's something that I see, hey, we need to monitor this, maybe I would say, let's recheck blah, blah, blah in 6 weeks. And it would only be that one lab test. See what I'm saying? Let's just say you're going vegan and we want to monitor your B12 level. We get a baseline B12 and it's 800. And then you go vegan and I say, hey, we should probably monitor this. Let's recheck it in 8 weeks. And your B12 level goes down to 300. Now we know that you need a methylated B12 or, take something else that has B12 in it. And then we wait 8 weeks and we recheck it again. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Should I take methionine too? That's a great question. Cysteine. Okay, so if we were talking glutathione, if we're talking about making glutathione, we need cysteine, glycine, and glutamate. And methionine is supposed to convert to those. We need these sulfur bonded amino acids, right? And again, I'm not well versed on it. I don't necessarily think I would take methionine because we could get into a position where you have too much methionine and not knowing it because you have not enough glycine to take care of the methionine. Okay? And honestly, I don't know what lab tests we can check to monitor these things, Isaac. But I can definitely look into taking methionine, but in my heart, I'm saying, God, if we take methionine and you take too much, then you got too much sulfur bonded amino acids and you're depleting your glycine. Oh, I'll just take more glycine. Yeah, and I would not, you say, well, then I'll just take glutathione. I wouldn't do that either. Now you're taking a synthetic glutathione when our body should be making its own glutathione, which is the master antioxidant in the liver, which takes me back to, is your liver functioning perfectly? Okay, go back to the AST and the ALT and the GGT and the ALK-Phos. So you got to have a functioning liver in order to convert all these things. This is getting deep, you guys. Let's see. Okay. Henry, great on the phytoestrogens and the fermentation. Natto is fermented. Okay, great. Benefits of natto go beyond amino acids, nattokinase, and vitamin K2. Okay. Lucy says natto is nasty. That means the actual natto, but we're talking maybe a supplement of natto, Lucy. Yes, great benefits. Faiza says, what proportion of fat and protein should be consumed? 2 to 1 or 1 to 1. I think that's a great, 1 to 1 ratio of fat to protein. Some people are eating more protein to fat, but yeah, I think a 1 to 1 ratio or even a 2 to 1 ratio is perfectly perfectly optimal. I think that as we get older, we need more and more protein because we are not able to use those amino acids like we used to be able to. In fact, when we're young, we can eat pizza and extract enough amino acids to make us grow. When we get older, we need the real McCoy and a lot of it, okay? Crazy as our body, ages. So getting enough protein, you might need more. So if you're working out and you're building muscle, you want to get at least, I feel, this is my opinion, this is not medical advice, 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you're 125 pounds, you need 125 grams. Do I think you need 125 grams of fat? Maybe. Maybe you need 100, maybe you need 75 at least for your brain function, for your organs to make. If you're carnivore, you want ketones to be able to supply your brain and your heart. Without that, you need fatty acids. Henry says that Japanese have much lower rates of atherosclerosis. Yeah, I don't know those ratio or those percentages. Lucy, you've been all over the world, haven't you? Oh my gosh, I would never do oolong tea. I used to drink oolong tea, and now that I know how many phytates and oxalates are in it, how many poisons and heavy metals, oh my goodness. Black tea, green tea, oolong tea, yeah, all over, all done. I gave that up a few years ago. Okay. All right, you guys, I think that is... KB says, how do you remove your poop without fiber? Well, the poop is waste. That is the waste. It's the stuff that your body can't even use. That's what waste is. That means you're eating a bunch of crap, okay? If you are eating a bunch of crap, then you do need more fiber. If you're on a high-carb diet, you need fiber to get the crap out of you. The waste, the stuff that you don't need, the non-absorbable plant material needs to get out. So add more plant material to help you get it out. If you're on a carnivore diet, you don't need all that fiber. You are using almost 95% of all of the nutrients, and you're absorbing it in the small intestine. So very less gets to the large intestine. You'll have less waste on a carnivore diet because you're absorbing everything. Waste is waste. It's either waste or not waste, okay? If it's not waste, that means your body's using it. But a person who's eating a bunch of plant material needs to get that out because that's fermenting. The bugs that is eating it is fermenting. You'll know, you'll get gas and bloating and constipation. Increase your fiber to really get it out? Sure. KB says she takes, or he, I'm not sure. I take glycine for sleep. It works. Great. Awesome. I think a lot of people would say that. Hopefully I answered the question on the fiber. If you're a carnivore, you don't need it. You shouldn't. That's just a plant. So then you're not carnivore. If you're taking fiber, you're not on a carnivore diet. You're eating a plant. Yeah, KB, I don't know what a good balanced diet is. Does that mean you weigh it on a teeter-totter and it balances out a little bit of crap and a little bit of not crap? I don't know. You don't eat crap. I don't know what the definition of crap is. So I'm guessing you don't eat processed foods, seed oils, or sugar. So nothing in a box or a bag. You're eating whole plants and animals, if that's a balanced diet. So animals on one side of the teeter-totter and plants on the other. You're welcome, Lucy. If I was in California, I would be going on my walk with you. Well, if I was in your town in California, I would be going on my walk with you. And it's been gloomy here in Iowa too. So, all right, you guys, we will call it quits. If you can, on YouTube, you YouTubers, right now, can you hit the thumbs up? We are sitting at 33. Can we get to 39? Can you get to 39? Can 6 of you who have not hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up? And before we go. So before we go, can you do that? Okay? All right. You guys, we will be back. Lord willing, we'll be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Central. I want to leave you with a verse. And the verse is from 1 Thessalonians 5:21-22. It's one of my favorite verses because it comes up all the time. Okay, yeah, double click on the screen if you can't see the thumb up. Double click on the screen and it'll like it. Thank you, Lucy. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 21 and 22. It says, test everything. Examine everything carefully. Hold fast to that which is good. Abstain from every form of evil. What I'm trying to tell you is many people will tell me, Dr. Jensen, I hear so many things. How do I know what you're saying is true? If you if you test everything and examine everything, like this verse says to do, you will find that the truth will come to you. So don't just take my word for it. Don't take any other guru or any other doctor's word for it. Test everything, examine everything carefully, and hold fast to that which is true and good. To me, that which is true and good, if we're talking about the Bible, that is Jesus. And abstain from everything that is evil. Everything that man makes, for the most part, is evil when it comes to our food. It is a way to make you sick. And we can talk more about this, but anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that verse. I want you guys to have a most wonderful, blessed day, and hopefully you'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central, and we'll go over muscle. All right, you guys have a good one. See ya.